The top stories tonight in Y News. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. assures to continue imposing measures to curb high inflation in the country. PBBM orders the Energy Regulatory Commission, or ERC, to make swift action on the completion of the rate reset review for the system operator after the massive power outage in Panay Island. The Philippine National Police takes a firm stand against those responsible for disseminating fake news aiming at destabilizing the government. And Israel Defense Minister outlines a shift in Israel's Gaza strategy, focusing on targeted actions in the north and intensified pursuit of Hamas leaders in the south. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Friday, January 5, 2024. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am Marvy Delphine. We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am Maven Carrizo. First in the news. The Philippine Statistics Authority, or PSA, reported that the country's headline inflation has exhibited a further deceleration, settling at 3.9% for the month of December in the year 2023. Despite the apparent slowdown in inflation, authorities emphasize the imperative of strict monitoring. In a proactive stance, the government pledges to implement robust measures addressing and mitigating challenges associated with inflation. Nel Maribuhok tells us why.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. welcomed the country's inflation rate that settled to its lowest level in 2023. The Philippine Statistics Authority, or PSA, reported that inflation for December 2023 further slowed down to 3.9% from 4.1% in November 2023, bringing the full-year average inflation rate to 6%. The lowest level of inflation recorded for 2023, mainly driven by the lower year-on-year growth in the index of housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels.
Ang nag-ambag ng malaki sa pagbaba ng inflation ng housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels ay ang mas mabilis na pagbagsak ng presyo ng kuryente na may negative 7.8% inflation.
In his Facebook post, the President welcomed the said development and assured the public that his administration would continue to impose measures to curb high inflation while strengthening the economy. The National Economic and Development Authority, or NEDA, assured the public that the government is continuously monitoring prices and inflation risk and implementing measures to protect the purchasing power of Filipino households. NEDA Director General and Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Arsenio Balisacan said in a statement that the Committee on Inflation and Market Outlook will closely monitor the situation and propose further temporary tariff adjustments if necessary. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. stressed the accountability of the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines, or NGCP, tasked to ensure the stability of the grid. In a video message, President Marcos said NGCP had time to prevent the massive power outage in Panay Island.
The National Grid Corporation of the Philippines, NGCP, had a crucial 2-hour window to prevent the system collapse, as highlighted by the Independent Market Electricity Operator of the Philippines, or IMO. Regrettably, during this period, NGCP failed to resort to manual load wrapping, resulting in the crisis that we are facing now.
PBBM also directed the Energy Regulatory Commission, or ERC, to make swift action on the completion of the rate reset review for the system operator.
I have also directed the ERC to complete the reset of NGCP's rates without further delay, to ensure NGCP's compliance with its statutory and regulatory obligations, and to defend in no uncertain terms against any attempt to defer, delay, or prevent the implementation of regulatory measures.
The president lamented one power has been restored. The situation has caused significant hardship to residents, crippling businesses, compromising livelihoods, and endangering those in need of health care.
The Philippine National Police takes a firm stand against the spread of misinformation. PNP Chief Police General Benjamin Acorda Jr. has directed the anti-cybercrime group to ramp up efforts unmasking those responsible for disseminating fake news, aiming at destabilizing the government. Leia Ilagan will tell us why.
The Philippine National Police on Friday, January 5, urged netizens to be careful on posting and sharing information in their respective social media accounts to avoid being charged for violation of cybercrime laws. This was after the fake news spread in social media about the police and military generals urging President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to resign.
Isa po ito sa mga pictures na nakikita natin ngayon na kumakalat sa social media kung saan ginamit po ang pictures ng ating Chief PNP, ng ating Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines together with our President with caption, AFP PNP Generals convincing PBBM to resign.
PNP Public Information Office Chief Police Colonel Jean Fajardo said, General Acorda ordered the PNP anti-cybercrime group to intensify their cyber patrolling to unmask those behind the fake news.
Again, inuulit po natin to all spreader of fake news, we are monitoring you para po matigil na po natin itong mga ganitong maling aktibidad. At once ma-identified po namin kayo, we will file appropriate charges once matukoy po natin kung sino po ang nagpapakalat ng ganitong klaseng fake news using the picture of our Chief PNP.
The PNP are ready to file appropriate charges under the Article 154 of the Revised Penal Code and violation of Republic Act 10175 or Cybercrime Prevention Law. In connection with this, Colonel Fajardo assures the public that the PNP remains apolitical, intact, and professional.
Mahal po ng inyong pambansang pulisya ang ating bayan. We will always uphold the Constitution and obey legal orders of the duly constituted authorities.
Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Department of Justice, or DOJ, revealed that the Bureau of Immigration faces a challenge in verifying and confirming the alleged entry of International Criminal Court, or ICC, investigators into the country. Dante Amento tells us why.
Justice spokesperson Assistant Secretary Mico Clavano said the International Criminal Court, or ICC, investigators will not identify themselves if they enter the Philippines. However, Clavano did not admit whether ICC representatives are already in the country.
But we're not also admitting or confirming or acknowledging their presence here in the Philippines. Pwede din naman pong hindi totoo yung balita na yon.
Even the Bureau of Immigration, or BI, could not allegedly verify or confirm the entry of ICC investigators or ICC prosecutor Karim Khan.
Siyempre po, hindi naman sila magre-represent ng ICC pagpasok nila, no? They will not identify themselves as people or investigators or prosecutors from the ICC. So kung sakali lang po na dumating sila dito, they made it a point not to be known.
Solicitor General Minardo Guevara, yesterday, January 4, said the ICC prosecutor can conduct investigation without coming to the Philippines with the support or assistance of local groups or counterparts. Should ICC personnel already entered the country, the immigration would have known this. Former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque recently disclosed he confirmed the presence of ICC investigators in the country.
So meron po akong confirmation na talagang nag-iimbestiga ang mga dayuhan dito sa Pilipinas.
Meanwhile, the DOJ urged Roque to come forward to share the information he got.
Ibig sabihin siguro, he's still building up the veracity of the information, the credibility of his source, and then maybe at that point he will come forward with that information.
Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And for the news abroad, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant announced on Thursday, 4th of January, a shift in Israel's Gaza strategy, focusing on targeted actions in the north, intensified pursuit of Hamas leaders in the south, and securing the release of remaining hostages. To comply with international pressure and address economic challenges, Israel is scaling down forces, allowing thousands of reservists to return to civilian roles. Gallant stated that operations in the north will involve raids, tunnel demolitions, air and ground strikes, and special forces missions. In the south, the focus is on eliminating Hamas leaders and rescuing around 130 Israeli hostages remaining from the 240 abducted on October 7. Post-war, Gallant envisions Gaza no longer under Hamas control, with Palestinian entities managing it as long as there is no threat to Israel. United States Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is heading to the Middle East for a week of diplomacy to prevent the Israel-Hamas conflict from spreading. The 3-month war has sparked concerns of spreading beyond Gaza to the West Bank, Lebanon-Israel border, and Red Sea shipping lanes. Tensions rose after a drone strike on Tuesday, January 2, killed Hamas deputy leader Saleh al-Arori in Beirut, drawing large crowds for his Thursday burial in Shatila. Throughout the war, the Israeli military has voiced remorse for civilian casualties. However, it alleges that Hamas operates in densely populated areas, using civilians as human shields, a claim the group denies.
Following the massive power outage in Panay Island, a lawmaker wants the franchise of the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines, or NGCP, to be revoked. Senate Committee on the Energy Chairman Raffy Tulfo says the NGCP failed to maintain the stability of the grid, which is its primary mandate. He adds the NGCP's repeated negligence is a ground for the revocation of its franchise. The Senate will resume its hearing on the review of the NGCP franchise on January 10.
The Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, has taken decisive action by shutting down GIS Manila, or German Immigration Services, an immigration and consultancy agency located in Malate, Manila. The establishment, owned by a German national and his Filipino wife, operated without the necessary permits to refer workers and send them to Germany. While GIS Manila possessed permits from the local government and accreditation as a consultancy, it lacked the essential authorization for the recruitment and deployment of workers to Germany.
Nag-o-offer, nangangako, nagre-refer. At mga ganito ay elemento ng akto ng recruitment, which means pag ginagawa mo yung referral, promising, and offering for employment abroad, that's recruitment, and you need a license. And if you don't have a license, that's illegal recruitment.
Ang pinresent nila sa atin is actually an agreement with a local recruitment agency, and based dun sa wording ng agreement, nagpapasahan nga sila ng recruit. So that's already the nail. That's very, very ng recruitment. So either referral na sila ang magre-refer dun sa agency, or yung agency yung magre-refer sa kanila on behalf of German employers.
The DMW's intervention follows 3 complaints against the agency, with one complainant alleging a payment of over 200,000 pesos but never being sent to Germany for work. The shuttered agency was reportedly offering job opportunities to individuals in various fields, including hotel workers, caregivers, and nurses in other countries. This marks the 14th establishment to be closed down by the Department of Migrant Workers since its establishment in 2022.
So talagang hindi natin gusto yung yung lumilihis, yung gumagawa ng illegal activity. So we want to stop this. And definitely for 2024, pangako natin sa taong bayan, pangako natin sa administrasyon ni President Marcos na pipigilin natin ang illegal recruitment.
The Philippine economy appears poised for potential growth, hovering between 6 to 6.5% as suggested by economist Michael Ricafort. Nevertheless, as with any economic trajectory, looming challenges cast shadows on this optimistic outlook. Factors such as geopolitical tension and the ever-present specter of calamities pose credible risks that could impede the nation's stride towards achieving these commendable figures. Rosalie Cause will tell us why.
The Philippines' economy grew by 5.9% in the third quarter of 2023, as reported by the Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA. According to Mr. Michael Ricafort, the chief economist of RCBC, he predicts that the country's economic growth will continue this year. It is possible to reach 6 to 6.5%.
Yung economic growth natin for 2024, at least 6 to 6.5%. No? Ibig sabihin yun, mas mabilis yung production, yung output sa ekonomiya natin eh. Pati nagre-reflect din yun, yung kita, mas mabilis yung growth, no? Yung mga benta, mga sales.
The economic managers of President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. have set growth assumptions of 6.5 to 7.5% for 2024. According to Ricafort, among the drivers of the country's economic performance are the large working age population. Also contributing are the remittances from overseas Filipino workers or OFWs and the expanding business process outsourcing or BPO industry in the Philippines.
Majority ng mga Pilipino may hanap buhay na. Kasi 12 largest population ng Pilipinas sa buong mundo, yung more than 110. So imagine mo, more than 50 million Filipinos pwede na magtrabaho. So mas marami may hanap buhay.
Nevertheless, there are also factors that could potentially affect the country's ability to achieve the target economic growth. This includes geopolitical tensions and calamities, especially considering the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia, as well as between Israel and the Hamas militant group. The prevailing El Niño can also impact agricultural production and contribute to the rise in commodity prices.
Maapektuhan talaga dyan. Pagka may politics of oil, maapektuhan na naman yung presyo ng mga bilihin. No? Pero ngayon, tinatrabaho nila, pati mga central banks, tinatrabaho nila ng gusto para so far, so good, sana naman hindi na kumalat yan, yung gera na yan. So, for the coming year, bukod sa, kasi panahon din naman itong El Niño eh. So, ang tanong dyan, mild ba yan o magiging severe?
Meanwhile, the Philippines will benefit from the recovery of global and Asian economies from the pandemic. Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, has categorically refuted allegations of corruption associated with the importation of modern units of jeepneys, a pivotal aspect of the Public Utility Vehicle Modernization Program. JP Nunez will tell us why.
In response to the probe initiated by House Speaker Martin Romualdez, the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, clarified that they do not control the freedom of transport cooperatives in selecting vehicles to replace traditional jeepneys. This statement comes amid allegations of collusion between former and current transport officials to negotiate the importation of modern jeepneys.
Yung pagbili po ng sasakyan ng ating mga transport service entities ay wala pong mandato doon ang DOTR at LTFRB.
The LTFRB emphasized that transport cooperatives are not limited to choosing modern jeepneys resembling minibuses. There are 54 approved designs that meet Philippine national standards, providing a range of options for cooperatives.
Hindi po limited yung ating design. For as long as makapag-comply ng specification at po yung mga requirement na nakalagay sa PNS ay pwede po nilang bilhin yun.
Furthermore, the LTFRB expressed government support for local manufacturers to produce modernized public transportation vehicles. LTFRB Chairman Attorney Chofilo Guadis III highlighted a recent visit to Francisco Motors in December, where they showcased an electric jeepney. This locally produced alternative retains the iconic look of traditional jeepneys and is more cost-effective than imported models.
Ang payo po namin sa kanya is to have himself accredited with the Philippine National Standards para po makasama siya doon sa mga pwede pong sumali na bilihan ng mga jeepney ng mga cooperative.
In the midst of these developments, the Office of the Transportation Cooperatives asserted the preparedness of the Department of Transportation or DOTR family to address any corruption allegations related to the implementation of the Public Utility Vehicle Modernization Program or PUVMP.
Definitely wala pong katotohanan because first of all, nagkaroon na nga ng accusations at wala po nangyari sa katotohanan, but definitely again, we will be there.
JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
In a concerning update from the Department of Health, one more casualty has been recorded due to fireworks, bringing the total death toll to 2. The latest victim, a 44-year-old male, succumbed to injuries sustained in the same blasting incident where the first fireworks-related death occurred. This tragic incident unfolded after a cigarette was lit in close proximity to stored fireworks during a drinking session. Additionally, the agency reported 4 more confirmed stray bullet injuries. As the country grapples with the aftermath of these incidents, the Department of Health has recorded a total of 600 firework-related injuries nationwide. Among these cases, 53 individuals are currently hospitalized for ongoing treatment.
And in other global news, as countries grapple with increasing geopolitical tensions and the heightened risk of climate disasters, the United Nations warns of a prolonged period of weak global economic growth. Joselito Liquido tells us why.
The World Economic Situation and Prospects report presented by the United Nations revealed a somber outlook for the global economy. According to the latest annual assessment, global growth will slow to 2.4% this year from 2.7% in 2023, which is significantly below the pre-COVID pandemic trend of 3%. The UN's findings come amid concerns over the impact of disrupted shipping through the Red Sea trade route after Houthi rebels' attacks. On a slightly positive note, projections shows global inflation could decline from about 5.7% in 2023 to 3.9% this year, which could help ease the pressure on households and businesses. However, sustained disruption to shipping, which could involve the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, a key route for oil and gas shipments, or a wider regional conflict involving Iran could contribute significantly to global inflation. In response, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres urges countries to raise their investment this year, especially to tackle the climate energy and avoid undermining progress towards the UN Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs. The UN also notes that at a time when central banks are keeping high interest rates, it is important for governments to avoid self-defeating fiscal consolidations and offer more financial support to stimulate economic growth. Joselito Liquido, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
In the aftermath of the 7.6 magnitude earthquake that struck Japan, over 4,000 rescuers have been deployed to the epicenter. Yet the extent of the damage inflicted upon the country remains uncertain. The government continues its relentless efforts to aid earthquake survivors. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida underscores the importance of persisting in rescue operations beyond the critical 72-hour window. The golden 72 hours is a crucial period after a disaster where a person can survive physically without food and water, as per rescue experts.
In Wajima City, there were about 1,900 people. In Suzu, about 2,100 people, or SDF personnel and the police personnel, firefighters were dispatched to those areas and fully working on the rescue activities.
As of now, 156 individuals have been rescued, while authorities have yet to identify at least 179 others. The full extent of the damage caused by the earthquake and tsunami in Japan remains unclear.
This earthquake occurred before the sunset. So in the initial point, it was very hard to understand, to assess the situation. And from the mayor of Wajima and Suzu City, I heard the situation directly, and I established the headquarters for specified disaster management headquarters, and it was upgraded to extraordinary disaster management headquarters.
Prime Minister Fumio Kishida believes that while rescue efforts are vital for those still missing, it is equally important to support those who have survived the tragedy. Meanwhile, more than 30,000 people from affected areas remain in shelters, with several towns experiencing disruptions in water, electricity, and internet connections.
The Hokuriku region, the winter is very harsh. The affected people are suffering in a very harsh environment, as I understand. With that in mind, the elderly people, the young children, and people with sickness, there are many people in those conditions. Strong shocks are happening one after another. Evacuation may prolong. We're in such a situation. We have to have a sustained and a swift support.
And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe.
For wishers around the globe, it was an evening etched in memory as they witnessed the live spectacle of the 10th installment of the Wish Date concert, aptly titled Invisible. From the carefully curated lineup of songs and the soulful performances by talented artists to the poignant scenes depicted in the short film, every element contributed to an emotionally charged atmosphere. This Sunday, set your sights on the KDR Music House official YouTube channel for the digital streaming of this extraordinary event. Gladys Tuavi will tell us why.
Feeling the fear of missing out? Perhaps you are yearning to relive the touching scenes from the Wish Date Invisible, that unforgettable spectacle that tugged at the heartstrings. Well, mark your calendars for this Sunday, January 7, as the 10th installment of the Wish Date concert is set to have its digital streaming extravaganza through KDR Music House. Actress Ira Mariano tantalizes us with a tease, assuring us that this is not your typical love story. She hints at a narrative that delves into sacrifices, leaving behind a lesson where the truly essential remains invisible to the eyes.
Para sa akin, more on very inspirational kasi ito. Ang dami nilang mapipick up na mga life lessons and realizations na very eye-opener sa kanila. So, whether it's about love sa romantic love, tapos love para sa kaibigan, love para sa mga elderly, sa mga close sa puso talaga natin, mga magulang natin. So yun, marami kayong mapipick up na mga values. At syempre, yung talagang essence ng buhay, which is yung pag-ibig talaga.
Ira shares the dedication she poured into her character, ensuring that the real message of the story is delivered with authenticity.
So meron ako mga ganong character sketch na parang inaral din to prepare for my role. She's very passionate sa charity works. Tapos, alam mo yun, yung principle sa kanya na yung buhay hindi dapat nasasayang sa walang kabuluhan ng mga bagay, na as long as meron kang buhay, kalakasan na binibigay sa'yo, gumawa ka ng mabuti, iparamdam mo sa tao na mahal mo siya. Dedicated talaga siya for good works.
Joining her in the short film are seasoned actress Daria Ramirez, alongside E.A. Guzman, Kate Yanong, and Chris Abaya. But that's not all. The digital streaming promises a star-studded musical lineup featuring the talents of Army Miliare, Gigi Delana and the Gigi Vibes, Pinyal, Essay Bolaño, and the OPM pop and R&B band South Border. So don't miss out! The Wish Date Invisible Digital Streaming Extravaganza is set to unfold this Sunday at 7 p.m. on the official YouTube channel of KDR Music House. Gladys Tuabi, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Our Kasangbahay. As the world faces these trying times amid the various challenges and uncertainties, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity from Monday to Friday, 9:30 p.m. Philippine time, through the social media accounts of the Members Church of God International.
And before we close, we will leave you with the word giving glory to God. From the book of Psalms, chapter 63, verse 4, it says, "Thus will I bless thee where I live. I will lift up my hands in thy name." And those are the reasons behind the news, January 5, 2024. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Maven Carrizo, live from Perth, Australia.
Because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am Marvi Delfin, live from Australia. We serve the people, we give glory to God.